What's up, guys? We are live. We got a great card this Saturday. We got UFC Minneapolis. Go Vikings! I'm a big Vikings fan. If you guys don't know that, um, yeah, man. Francis Ngannou versus JDS Judo Santos. What a great fight! It was supposed to be on the 239 card, but now it's the main event. We got a lot of good fights in this card, and UFC Greenville. I mean, that card was one of the best cards this year, man. So I have a feeling this card is going to be even better. And joining me as always, my co-host Kelton. Kelton, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Second fight card in this 9-card stretch. Last week, I mean, you mentioned it. The fights were amazing. There was a lot of action, a lot of good finishes. But this week feels a little different, man, because we got some real big names, real great prospects on this card. Like, this is a big ESPN card, like a true one. It's awesome. We got Francis and JDS in the main event. I mean, someone's getting knocked out.
Yeah, so this is totally random. It has nothing to do with UFC Minneapolis, but I just popped up like on the right here. It says that Google Hangouts is actually going away August 1st. So it looks like that we're gonna have to do this somewhere else. And I know we've been talking about it for a while, but I think we're gonna have to try out, iTunes, some other platforms, because that doesn't mean the podcast is going away. That just means we're gonna have to do it somewhere else. But yeah, I know you want to put it on iTunes. I know I'm down, and I'm down to put it on more platforms as well.
For sure, man.
So without further ado, we're not going to do a recap. We're going to go right in the first fight. So I'm going to let you go first because I believe you have a big play here. We got my boy Croquet Boss Maurice Greene versus Junior Diaper Albini. Who do you got, Kelton?
Yeah, man, I wouldn't exactly call it a big play. It's just a 2-unit one, and unfortunately, it was my first bet I made on this card, and I made it a couple weeks ago, and to my large surprise, a lot of money has been coming in on the other side, which blows my mind because how I saw it, I feel like the public feels like Junior Albini's a joke, but I guess the public feels the same way against Maurice Greene, so they saw value in Junior Albini, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I don't think there's any value on Junior Albini in this spot whatsoever. So you look at his pre-UFC career. He's coming out here beating 2-5, 0-1, 2-3 guys. Complete bums, man. And then he comes into the UFC. He's a huge underdog against Tim Johnson, which, hey, I mean, Tim Johnson's no longer in the UFC, but if they remake that fight, bro, I still line Tim Johnson as a big favorite against Junior Albini. Now, the problem in that fight was Tim Johnson came in extremely compromised, had a very serious neck injury, had no business competing in the octagon that night, and it really just, it affected his training camp and it affected his performance in the fight, and Junior Albini was able to capitalize. It was a great UFC debut. He garnished some hype from that, I guess, because he got some big fights afterwards, but and you look at his most 3 recent performances against Andre the Ghost Arlovsky, who's lost, 8 out of his last 12 fights. Goes out there and just lays an absolute ugly egg, just looked terrible in that fight. I believe that's the fight where he notoriously wore the diaper. I think that was the Arlovsky fight. And Yikes, dude. That was a terrible performance. And then, he takes the loss against Arlovsky, but somehow ends up with a big step up in competition with Alexei Oleinik. And, what's a top 15 guy like Alexei Oleinik going to do to a bum like Junior Albini? He's going to run through him, sub 2-minute finish. That's exactly what he did. And then he came up here against Rosenstrike in his last fight, which props to you for going big on Rosenstrike last week. He made that look extremely easy with a 9-second KO. Junior Albini knew he was absolutely fucked on the feet. So, what does he do? He goes for some takedowns. Hey, he gets a couple, but isn't really able to do anything with them. And I'll be honest, looking at Rosenstrike's MMA career, I've seen some pretty bad fighters get Rosenstrike down and do a lot more to him than Junior Albini did. So, when it comes to Junior Albini's like wrestling and grappling in this fight, I don't think he's going to have any advantage at all. Actually, I'm going to go out on a limb and say if Junior Albini does decide to take down Maurice Greene here, Maurice Greene has a lot better jiu-jitsu, man. He has a lot of subs off his back. He has really long limbs. Like, he is tricky on the mat, man. And I think Maurice's ground game is actually really underrated. Now, on the feet, are we going to talk about the size difference? Obviously, there's like an 8 or 9 inch reach advantage Maurice Greene has. And the thing with Maurice on the feet, like, he doesn't fight like a knockout artist like most heavyweights do. He kind of has that, like, he kind of has that point fight style. Keeps his range. I mean, obviously he's a huge guy. He likes to keep distance and whatnot. He uses his reach a hell of a lot better than Stefan Struve, I'll say that. But, I mean, I'll be honest, Maurice Greene isn't the best fighter in the world. But I'll say this, man. I think, when you look at the trajectories of both these guys' careers, obviously Albini, he had hype, and then he lost 3 in a row. Maurice Greene, in my opinion, I mean, you look at the Jeff Hughes fights, compare his first performance against Jeff Hughes to his second performance. I mean, I saw improvements, man. And you look at the guy's Instagram, he's definitely putting in a lot of work. Like, he's not out of shape. He's not doing the things he once did outside the cage. Maurice Greene is a guy that's making all the right choices right now, all the improvements. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think the ceiling is higher for a 6'8" freak dude like Maurice Greene than it is for old diaper boy Albini. So I think the trajectories go towards Maurice Greene's way. I'm going to say he comes out here and outstrikes Junior Albini. Then I think Junior Albini eventually will maybe land a takedown once he decides the striking's just not working out for him. I'm going to say Maurice Greene submits Junior Albini once it gets down to the mat. So I'm going to go with Junior Albini, or I'm going to go with Maurice Greene. I believe he has like 5 or 6 triangle chokes on his record. So I'm going to say Maurice Greene, triangle choke, second round. I got 2 units up -140. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man, this is a low level, heavyweight fight. I don't see either guy, having probably ever hit in the top 15. Obviously Albini, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, so we might see the best Albini here. I mean, his back's against the wall, but the guy's just not that good. He's a fraud, in my opinion. Croquet Boss. Yeah, you can make fun of him and all that on Tough because he was smoking cigarettes and drinking and all that stuff. But I mean, it looks like he's finally taking it serious now. He's actually training at Factory X, and he looks in really good shape. Brock Larson's one of his head coaches, and I mean, Brock Larson has great jiu-jitsu. That's Anthony Rocco Martin's like one of his head coaches. So, yeah, man. I mean, he definitely has a better jiu-jitsu here. I mean, I think he actually has the better wrestling too. Albini, he's just not good, man. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Croquet Boss is legit or anything, but I mean, I just think Croquet Boss is a better fighter. He definitely has the better striking. He's definitely more durable. He definitely has, the better ground game. So I don't really see any advantages for Albini, really, man. So I'm going to go with Croquet Boss. I think he gets a submission as well, but I'm not going to be playing it just because, it's a low-level heavyweight fight. But, yeah, I got Croquet Boss by submission. So next fight, we got Amanda Ribas versus Emily Whitmire. I don't think Wittmeyer should ever be -185. I just don't think she's that good. She hasn't proved, I will say that. She's a great grappler. She's huge. She's definitely one of the biggest, strawweights out there. She's 2-0 at 115. She trains at Extreme Couture now. Her striking is still not that good, in my opinion. She's been tapped out twice. She's been knocked out once. Ribas, hasn't fought in a very long time. It's been like a 3-year layoff. She's only fought in cans, but she's a black belt, man. So I wouldn't be surprised, man, if she tapped out Whitmire. I mean, yeah, Whitmire has a good ground game, but she's been tapped out twice before. So that's something in the back of my mind that I wouldn't be playing the juice on Whitmire here. And also, Ribas is training at ATT, man, and Ribas is strong too, man. So I wouldn't be surprised, man, if she pulls this one out on the feet. I got to give her the advantage, too. I think she's the better striker than Whitmire. But I just think Whitmire is just going to kind of grind this one out, win a close decision. But I would not be surprised if Ribas pulls this one out. But, yeah, just the ring rust, hasn't fought in a long time. Hasn't fought anyone good. But, hey, she's training with really good girls at ATT. Tisha Torres, Kayla Harrison. So we'll see what happens. And she's been knocked out, though, too, against Polo Viana. And that's a red flag right there. Polo Viana's a huge fraud. But, yeah, man, she is the better striker, though. Whitmire is not the better striker. It's a striker versus grappler matchup. And, I mean, Ribas is great. Has great jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to go with Whitmire with a close decision. I think she gets a split decision. But I can see this fight being back and forth. And if Ribas didn't have the USADA suspension and haven't fought in a long time, I think that she would win this fight. So I'm going to go with Whitmire, but Ribas is live for sure. What about you?
Man, this is one of those fights that's so tough to call in my mind that I feel like I kind of have to break it down on the podcast first before I can give my official picks. So, I mean, here we go. So Amanda Ribas, she hasn't fought in a few years, which, of course, like you mentioned, that's definitely a red flag, which, could work to her advantage. Or in a way, like we don't know what kind of improvements she's been making in these last couple of years. We could see a completely different girl, or there's the possibility that we could see a lot of the holes that we saw in her previous fights a few years ago, man. I mean, her striking defense is just, just being honest here, it's god awful, man. I mean, I think even a lower level girl like Emily Wittmeyer might even be able to have some success on the feet on her. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think on the feet, Wittmeyer's probably got her beat there by a decent margin now. One thing Emily Wittmeyer has going for her in the strawweight division, dude, she is absolutely massive, man. And I feel like she could probably take down most girls in the division. So, I mean, when we're talking about a girl making her debut here, I think she could definitely take down Ribas. But do you really want to do that? Because Amanda Ribas has some really good jiu-jitsu, bro. Like, she's competed in some very, very high-level BJJ competition in the past at a black belt level, which, I mean, that's serious, dude. And, I mean, you can see it in her fights, too. She's very slick with the transitions and the subs. She's no joke down there. So if I'm Wittmeyer, I'm using my wrestling in reverse, keeping the fight on the feet and outstriking the jiu-jitsu girl. Now, can Ribas take down Wittmeyer? I mean, I saw Ribas take down some super, super low competition, and I know Wittmeyer, you can argue, is low competition, but she's a lot better than the girls that Ribas has been beating, in my opinion. And I mean, Emily Wittmeyer, she has been making improvements, dude. I mean, in my opinion, you really can see it now. Of course, she's going out there and beating Jamie Moyle and Albu, but I mean, she dominated them, man. Those were both really good performances. Two different ways showed that she can hold it for 15 minutes, dominate for an entire 15-minute span, and then she showed she can go out there and absolutely thrash a girl in 1 minute who doesn't belong in the octagon with her. And I don't know. I'm just not convinced that this is definitely like a minus 185 or even a minus 300. Whitmire opened up minus 300 in this spot, man, and the money actually came in on the other side on the newcomer. So I don't know. I feel like definitely from a DraftKings perspective, I'm not going to have any Emily Whitmire because she's not going to submit this BJJ black belt. And although Polyana Viana was able to KO Ribas, I think Polyana Viana is a much better striker than Whitmire. So I don't really see a knockout for Whitmire either. I don't see a finish. It's going to be a decision if she wins. So I'm definitely good on that with DK, paying the juice on her. So I feel like it's definitely Ribas or pass on DK and probably betting as well. It's just I would not recommend betting her just because the layoff, man. I mean, we don't know what we're going to see here. So it's a pass for me. As far as a pick, man, I still don't really know which way I want to lean. I'm going to go with the underdog just for the hell of it, though. I'm going to say Amanda Ribas capitalizes on a mistake on the mat at one point and takes the back and chokes out Emily Whitmire, man. I'm going with the upset, but I'm not really confident at all. So moving on to the next fight, if I can get this up here, is it the Dalcha fight? Yeah, so we Dalcha Lungiambula, if I said that right, but he actually goes by Dalcha Champion, kind of ripping off Yolanda's nickname there. He goes by Dalcha Champion. It's minus 285. He's taking on Daquan Townsend, and man, this is going to be an interesting one. Dalcha, of course, he was originally supposed to fight Justin Ledet. I know you had a bet on Ledet there. Unfortunately, Ledet pulled from the fight, and now we have this guy coming in here on, 4 days' notice to take on, I mean, when you look at Dalcha, he's a very, very scary individual, so I'm going to give props to Daquan Townsend for taking this fight, but geez, man, when you look into it, we got this guy, Daquan Townsend, who fought at 170 before. He is definitely going to be the smaller guy here. He is not a 205er whatsoever. This dude Dalcha for sure is a 205er. I mean, you can argue this dude Dalcha is a heavyweight, man. I mean, he fought a heavyweight, had success there, beat some of the best guys in the promotion he was fighting in at heavyweight. He's going to have a size advantage here. He's going to have a power advantage. It's just, I mean, we've definitely seen holes in Dalcha's ground game, man. I mean, I forgot the guy's name. It was his second to most recent fight, I want to say. The guy's name was like Austin Stewart or something like that. dude, that first round, he takes down Dalcha, mounts him with ease, and, I mean, he beats the hell out of Dalcha there, and, I mean, arguably gets saved by the bell. And then all of a sudden, I don't want to say the dude gassed himself out because he still looked relatively fresh. I mean, it's just that Dalcha completely turned it up and smoked him at the start of that second round. So we've already seen this guy Dalcha overcome adversity, which obviously that's a huge deal here. He's not some front runner. I think he's a pretty decent fighter now. Obviously, my big concern looking at his record at first is that he's going to a split decision with a guy that lost to Sarah Lasker and Ruan Potts, which is just kind of bad. But the truth behind that is, I mean, Dalcha was just fighting at the wrong weight class, man, and now he's here at 205 taking on a welterweight. So I think he should roll relatively easy here. I think Townsend, obviously, I think he has a better ground game. I mean, I've seen him lock up some nasty subs, so he's going to want to wrestle here. And I think there's definitely a chance he could do it. I mean, I'm not going to say I won't be surprised if Dalcha gets taken down because I saw him get taken down pretty easily. So it's a pass for me at the current line, minus 300. That probably is about right, but I see Dalcha coming out here and knocking him out probably early, man. So, yeah, I'll take Dalcha by first round knockout. I think at 8,700 on DK, I think that's a decent one, man, because fight doesn't go to decisions minus 400. So, yeah, what do you think of Dalcha, man? I know you were betting against him, but what do you think about him against this new guy?
Yeah, man, I had Justin Wittmeyer versus him. I bet Justin Wittmeyer, and sucks that the fight's not happening. We still don't know what happened. Who knows? But yeah, man, this champion guy Dalcha. Obviously, I think he has an easier matchup here. I do think he's gonna win this fight. Townsend, I'm just not that impressed with him. He's older too. Yeah, he has good grappling, but I think on the feet, Dalcha champion striking's improved a lot. Striking was not good probably like 3 fights ago, but it's definitely improved. He's really explosive and athletic. He's definitely the bigger guy. I think he has a judo background too, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, man. So I think it's gonna be pretty hard for Townsend to take him down. And we did see, Dalcha fade in one of his fights, but that was a 5-round fight though. This fight's 3 rounds, so yeah, I'm gonna go with Dalcha champion for the finish here. I think he's just better than Townsend. I don't think Townsend's UFC material. And do I think Dalcha's UFC material? I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, I was gonna fade him with Wadette, but hell no, I'm not fading him with Townsend. So yeah, I'll go with Dalcha with the finish. This next fight is really interesting because we're gonna be having a pretty good debate here. We got Dan the Hitman Moret versus Jared Gordon. I'm gonna let you go first because I believe you have a play.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is gonna be a really, really entertaining fight. I mean, when is Jared Gordon not in an entertaining fight? The dude, I mean, he comes out so strong in that first round, and one can say it definitely works against him because we've seen him slow down and or get finished in the later rounds. But man, I'm not convinced this is a close fight whatsoever. In all honesty, I see a mismatch here. And when you look at the skill set of Dan Moret, I mean, on the feet, not good at all. Even like the wrestling and the clinch work, it's just not UFC caliber in my opinion. His one shining light in his skill set is definitely his jiu-jitsu, man. I mean, he does have very good jiu-jitsu. He is a brown belt, I believe. I've seen him lock in some nasty subs. Now, Jordan Griffin, who was supposed to fight on this card, that fight just got canceled. I mean, that's definitely his best win was that Jordan Griffin win. And boy, I can't believe Dan Moret was making 145 pounds. Like, he was huge in that division. I think it's probably a lot better for the longevity of his career now that he's back here 155 pounds. But, geez, the thing is, dude, like, I thought he totally had a chance against Alex White just because of Alex White. I mean, that guy's just not very good. Let's keep it at that. And Dan Moret was supposed to come out there and probably get the win there against one of the few guys he probably could beat in the division. A lot of people were picking against White there just because, Alex White, he got absolutely destroyed by Jim Miller in a fight he was like minus 200 in. But I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, the jiu-jitsu of Dan Moret is his one shining light. But I actually think Jared Gordon has very good jiu-jitsu. He's a brown belt as well. I'm not going to say he's the advantage here, but I think it's going to be very close on the mat if it does happen to hit there. But man, I kind of think it's not going to hit there just because I don't know if Moret has the skills to take down Jared Gordon. I think Jared Gordon has the better wrestling here, so I think he's going to be able to keep this on the feet. And on the feet, man, I think he has a lot more pop behind his punches, and he just has the overall better crisp boxing. And he comes on so strong. I think. I mean, I'm not convinced Dan Moret has the defense necessary to overcome the initial onslaught of Jared Gordon. I actually see Jared Gordon coming out here, doing what he normally does, and probably taking out Dan Moret early in the first or second round, man. I mean, I just think he's a lot better on the feet. It's tough, though, because Jared Gordon is coming off a couple of tough losses. But, hey, man, I mean, Carlos Diego Ferreira, he's a top 15, 20 guy. Joaquin BJJ Neto, that dude's serious. He has a lot of power in his hands. And Jared Gordon was winning that fight, man. I mean, I know me and you and a couple of our buddies were all on Neto BJJ as an underdog in that fight, but I mean, we were losing that thing up until the point where we won it. I mean, that was a good performance by Gordon, but I mean, the fact of the matter is he did get his lights shut off, but I think he took the proper amount of time off, man, and I don't know if that's going to be a problem here. I mean, is Dan Moret going to take advantage of a deteriorating chin? I mean, I don't think so. Dan Moret has one KO on this record, and it's against a 5-27 guy. So I think Jared Gordon's got this beat in all areas. He's got the better wrestling, he's got the better striking, and on the mat, I think it's pretty even. So I have a hard time seeing Moret win this fight. So I do have Jared Gordon in a 3.5 unit parlay with somebody later in the card. So what do you think, man?
Yeah, man, this is a really interesting fight. This is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best fights on the card, honestly. I know both these guys are, I think they're, at the bottom of the division. I do think both of them are frauds, in my opinion. I have a lot of respect for Jared Gordon for, with all the stuff that he's, dealt with and all that. But let's be honest, man. Both these guys are featherweights. They're small lightweights, and Dan Moret's the more physical guy. He's definitely the stronger guy. He's definitely the bigger guy. Jared Gordon has taken so much damage the last two fights. I know they're against good guys, but I mean, yeah, he took the right time off, which is good. But let's not sit here and say we haven't seen him hurt before those two fights. I mean, he was in a close fight with Hackran Diaz. I mean, Hackran Diaz won around that fight. Hackran Diaz hurt him in that fight. Yeah, he finished, Michael Quinones, but that guy lost to, a guy that was, what? I'm pretty sure he lost his last fight outside the UFC. That guy was terrible. I mean, terrible. And the thing is, Jared Gordon, he has all the skills. He trains at a good camp. He has good boxing. He has good wrestling. But the thing with him is that, like I just mentioned, he's just taken so much damage his last two fights, and even in those fights before that. He's been knocked out, I think, 4 times. I think 2 times against Silva and Diego, and then also, I think, 2 doctor stoppages in the past. So the dude's taken a beating, man. Not only, in his life, besides MMA, but, I mean, in MMA, he's taken a beating. And Moret, he's not the most, technical guy. He has a good left hand. He's kind of a brawler on the feet. He has some moments against Gilbert Burns, but, I mean, the Gilbert Burns KO was pretty bad. I mean, that was, he was stiffened on the canvas. But the fight with Alex White, I thought that was a close fight. I do think Alex White won the fight, but kind of a lackluster fight. But you can't just sit here and say, just because Moret has 1 KO, he can't KO Gordon. I mean, look what happened in the Barberina fight. I know that was a 4-month, layoff and all that, or 4 months, but still, though, Jared Gordon has been in 2 KO losses. All that damage, man, just deteriorated in that chin. So he's a tough guy, but he gets hurt, man, in a lot of his fights. And another thing, too, about the fight, I think Dan Moret is the better cardio, dude. Jared Gordon gasses every single fight, man. I don't like his gas tank. I said he's a fraud. I mean, I'm looking to fade both these guys down the line. I think Dan Moret, his back's against the wall. If he loses this fight, he's getting cut. If Gordon loses, he's probably going to get another fight because he signed a big UFC deal. So it's a dog or pass fight, dude. I really think, I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, I just think the line should be a lot closer. And originally, I was going to go with Jared Gordon, picking him to win. But, man, I'm going to go with the dog here, man. I'm going to go with Dan Moret. I know a lot of people out there aren't going with him. And I'm gonna do it, and I'm also actually gonna be betting him too. I didn't even tell you that, to be honest, but the more I think about it, I think I'm gonna put 1 unit on Dan the Hitman Moret, because the thing is, not the better fighter always doesn't win. Like, the thing is, Gordon's the better fighter than Dan Moret, but does he have the better chin? No, he doesn't. Dan Moret has a better chin. So I really think if Gordon doesn't get him out of there early, that Moret's gonna finish him late. So and I wouldn't be surprised either if Dan Moret tapped him out. Like, he has the better jiu-jitsu, in my opinion. Who has the better wrestling? Probably Gordon. I do think he has a better wrestling. I mean, Joaquin Silva took him down as well. So, I mean, who knows? Moret could take him down. On the feet, I got to give the advantage to Jared Gordon, but I got the cardio advantage and the chin advantage to Moret. So I'm going to go with Dan the Hitman Moret with a 3rd-round TKO, and we're going against each other on this one, man.
That's very bold, man. But I don't think the people give you as much shit for that one as they'll give me for the next one if I end up pulling the trigger on that. So you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, man. So we got Mamute Vinicus Moreira versus Eric Anders, and yeah, you know what, man, the line is definitely off for sure. I do agree with you. The line should definitely not be on Anders minus 350. I mean, I like Eric Anders a lot. He's had some good wins in UFC, but the Tim Williams fight, that was a really close fight, man. And then he got that. I mean, to be honest, it was 1-1 go in the third. I mean, you could arguably say Tim Williams is winning that fight. I think Anders is winning, but I mean, then he got that KO. Khalil, dude. I mean, let's be honest now. Like, I know a lot of people have talked crap on Khalil and all that, but dude, Khalil's serious, man. That performance against Anders was legit, dude. And that was a life-changing beating, a 2-month layoff. But the thing is, Mamute's striking is terrible. He probably has the worst striking in the division. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have better striking than him. His striking is just bad, man. His chin's not good either. That's the thing. And he's never even been out of the 2nd round. His cardio's not that good, but the thing is, his grappling is really good. He has a good ground game. But, I mean, Anders has been taken down too, which is concerning. But I think Anders is going to catch him, man, honestly. I mean, if the fight stays on the feet, he's going to win. If he gets taken down, which he could get taken down. I mean, Mamute is probably the bigger guy, but is he the stronger guy? I mean, I think Anders is a pretty strong guy. I don't think Anders is going to go out there and try to take him down. I mean, that would be the worst game plan ever. He's not going to do that. He has a very powerful left hand. He's more athletic. He is more durable too than Mamute as well. And I just think he has a big speed advantage here. I think he's going to, just be pressuring Mamute, man, and stuff all the takedowns. I could see him getting taken down maybe once, but I can see him getting right back up. And I'm going to go with Anders by a finish. But at the current line, it is dog or pass. So I do think that Mamute could pull it off, but we'll see what happens. What about you?
Man, it's not even that. It's not even that. Just that Mamute has terrible striking. It's that he goes for these spinning back fists and shit too. So it's not even just the ugly, slow striking. It's kind of the fight IQ too, man. But the thing here, bro, the line is very off. So you look at the side of Eric Anders, and I mean, I know you said you like Eric Anders, and I was definitely a fan in the beginning too, but yikes, man. He just has not looked that good, in my opinion. I mean, he's losing rounds to Tim Williams. He's having very close fights with Maluko. He's out there losing to decisions against Machida that he's heavily favored in. Losing to Elias Theodoro. Not even to mention two huge factors in this fight for me are that he's fighting at the wrong weight class against a real 205er, and he's coming off a absolute ass kicking 2 months ago. And I've seen people say, "Oh, he didn't get knocked out." Well, dude, he definitely got heavily concussed in that fight. I mean, what was it, 4 or 5 knockdowns? Khalil whooped his ass. I mean, that's as close as you can get to a KO without it actually being a KO. And the thing was, I mean, Khalil would knock him down and just kind of lay around with him. Khalil had really no killer instinct to go after that. Khalil just wanted to keep it a very clean, safe performance. And I mean, hey, props to him. He won the fight and everything. I feel like there was a lot of opportunities where Khalil could have finished that fight because Eric was hurt that bad. I mean, the dude got concussed in that fight. Should not be coming back here 2 months later now. The one saving grace for him here is he's not going against a guy that's going to beat the fuck out of him on the feet because, I mean, we just said it, man. Mamute has some of the worst striking in the division now. I do think there's a lot of areas in this fight where Mamute is going to have some success, though. And I heard you say Eric's going to have a massive speed advantage, and I mean, probably he will be the quicker guy, but I don't know about massive, man. I mean, and another thing, he's nowhere near the athlete and with the amount of power, and he's not a real 205er like Alonzo Menifield. This is not going to be a Menifield type fight. We'll talk about Menifield in a minute. I think that guy's an absolute stud. Nowhere near Eric Andrews. Eric Andrews, I mean, he's slow too, man. I mean, haven't you been watching his fights too? He's slow as molasses, bro. And it's just really not. It's not all there. I think Moret, he's a lot stronger in the clinch. I see him pressing Eric up against the cage. I mean, seriously, dude. Like, I'm not even joking when I say this. Like, it really might just take one takedown. Like, if this guy gets on top of Eric Anders, he has the way better jiu-jitsu. He's a lot bigger, a lot stronger. I mean, man, he's going to make Eric fight hard in this fight, in my opinion. And Eric, I mean, I haven't seen much of Mamute's, like, cardio or anything. Like, I've seen him late in fights. Like, I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's great, but that's kind of like how Anders is, too. It's definitely not bad. It's definitely not great. So, I don't know, man. I think on the feet, I really see these guys going strike for strike with a slight advantage to Anders, and then Mamute, I mean, I see him having success in the clinch. I think he can trip him down to the mat or even land a double leg, man. I mean, Eric Anders got taken down by Tim Williams and Maluko and Thiago Santos, who's a striker. Thiago Santos took him down. I mean, Eric's definitely got holes there, man. So I see opportunities for Mamute. There's other outside X factors that favor him here, man. And, man, I mean, I think he can win a decision or get a submission here. So, I mean, it's definitely hard to pick him, but I'm going to go with the underdog Mamute to win this fight. I think the line is just so off, and there's areas he can win this fight. He's the bigger guy, actual 205er. Eric Anders coming back too soon. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons to like Mamute here. And on DraftKings, man, there's definitely not a lot of the big underdogs that I give a slight chance to, except for this guy, Maia. I don't think it's going to be pretty by any means. I actually think this fight is going to get very, very ugly. But, man, I got the Brazilian to get his first UFC win here by, I'm going to say second round arm triangle choke.
One more thing real quick I want to say that's about the last fight. Yeah, I'm not betting Dan Moret, to be honest. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. I picked him to win because I do think it's a close fight, but, yeah, I'm not betting him. Just I don't have the confidence. And if he wins, you know, congrats, but no. But, yeah, just to throw that out there, I'm not betting him. Anyways.
Getting a little more emotional there, huh?
No, I mean, it's a close fight, though, man. That's the thing. Like, I know you have a bet on Jared Gordon. I really think the line's so off. Like, I just think that chin on Gordon is deteriorating, man. But I just can't bet Moret. Like, they're both, in my opinion, frauds. But I hope you catch that. About this fight, real quick, one thing I want to mention is that, I mean, Marcus Perez took him down twice. I know, you know, that was a middleweight, but yeah, man, I mean, you're right. If Anders is taken down once, it could be over. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get Anders down, but I mean, I think on the feet, you know, it's a mismatch in my opinion. I know Anders doesn't throw that much, but I mean, when he does, he has a really good left hand. So
Elias off the hook, bro. Like, he did have Elias hurt, but showed no killer instinct whatsoever. I mean, I just have no reason to believe he's going to come out here and smash Vinicius on the feet, man. Yeah. 15 minutes to get him down once. I mean, I'm all over it at plus 300. Now, it's not plus 300 right now, so I'm going to stick to my guns and only bet it if it hits minus or plus 300. And it's just going to be a one-unit shot, but that's what I'm sticking with. So if it hits there, I'll take it. If it doesn't, I'm happy to pass. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Elias won that fight because he threw so much volume and he ran away. Like, Mamute doesn't have any striking, like, at all. Like, just when he throws, like, it's sad. His shadow boxing, like, before the fight, last fight, was embarrassing. Like, that dude's striking is like low level, man. Like,
it's definitely bad, but I feel like our boy Menifield definitely made it even worse, made it look even worse of what it actually is. I mean, Eric's nowhere near as fast as Menifield. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just not that much of a mismatch in my opinion. Like, if any at all. Like,
The line's off. The line's off for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So moving on to this next fight, man. This is an interesting one. We got Ricardo Ramos minus 335. He's taking on Journey Newson plus 275, and man, this is a pretty good fight. Unfortunate that the original matchup was canceled. It was supposed to be Ricardo Ramos versus Sergio Pettis, which is really interesting, man, because we would have seen one of the biggest bantamweights in the division versus one of the smallest bantamweights in the division. And if you even want to call Sergio Pettis that, the guy's a flyweight. Now, not much of a difference here, man, with Journey Newsom. He isn't exactly the biggest bantamweight in the world either. I mean, Ricardo Ramos is going to have a huge size and reach advantage here. Journey Newson, I guess I was somewhat impressed in his fights, man. I mean, he's got good striking, he's got good jiu-jitsu. He's one of those guys that's pretty solid everywhere, but not great anywhere. And really, I mean, I don't know. I just don't have him. I don't see him having much success in this fight. Ramos is, I mean, he's experienced in the UFC at this point. I mean, he's a multiple fight veteran. He's got that under him. I feel like he's just slightly more polished, even as a 23-year-old guy against a 30-year-old guy. I just think Ramos is a step above, man. And like I said, he's only 23, so we got to expect improvements every single time. So although I applaud Journey Newson for coming in here on short notice against a beast like Ramos, I don't think it's going to end nicely for him, man. I'm going to say Ramos ends this fight via a third-round finish. I don't know if it's going to be a sub or a knockout. I'll say sub. I'll say he gets a guillotine in the third round. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people were going to bet Ramos versus Pettis, but I was actually one of them. I wasn't going to bet him versus Pettis. I don't know how he was plus money. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't think this Newsom guy's that bad, man. He has a good record. He hasn't fought in the competition, in the UFC. But I mean, the guy ain't cracked. The guy has good boxing. Like the guy lost a split decision in a boxing match a year ago. He's not bad on the feet. Actually, he's pretty good on the feet, to be honest. Just Ramos just more all-rounded. Ramos has a good ground game. Ramos has good striking. I know he got knocked out last fight, but I mean, now he lost to one of the best prospects at 135. Saeed is a killer, man. And yeah, Ramos, he's a really good fighter. I think he has a really big future ahead of him, and I think he's going to find this fight to the mat and get him out of there. But I think it's going to be a really good fight, back and forth fight in the feet for sure, because I think Newsom has really good boxing, man. So I'm going to go with Ramos with a sub, but I think Newsom, man, we got to look out for him. I think he could definitely win some fights in the UFC. Like if he fought Cole Smith, oh my god, dude, like he would absolutely kill Cole Smith. But then again, Cole Smith's at the bottom of the division. Cole Smith sucks. So bad.
Yeah,
so yeah, bad. So next fight, I think is it the fight, one of the best fights of the night?
It's gonna be the Bear Jew, bro.
It is. Oh my god, man. So we got Paul Bear Jew Craig, aka Diehard MMA, versus UFC Bro Picks Alonzo Menifield. And yeah, so Clint, is the only person on Twitter to bet him. He was the only person to bet him last fight too. But let's be honest, man. Kennedy is so green, and Menifield, man, is a beast, dude. This guy's one of the best prospects in the division. I already said multiple times in the past, I bet this guy versus Alexander Rakic right now. I would bet Menifield over a lot of guys, dude. I know he has not fought in really the best competition, but dude, this guy is a win for this kid. This guy is so big for the division. This guy's striking is so good. Like, the guy is just so athletic, so fast. Good takedown defense. This dude is a handful, man. This dude's a problem at 205. Paul Craig, yes, okay, he has, a lot of comeback wins, tapped out Ankalaev, tapped out Kennedy, tapped out that fraud Frankenstein. But the thing is, man, he's just so bad on the feet, dude. Like, Khalil starched him. I think it's gonna be another performance like that. I think right when Menifield hurts him, touches him on the feet, Paul Craig's in a pull guard. Menifield's not Kennedy. He's not gonna go out there and play in his guard. They train in the same camp. They already fought him once. They're 0-1. they're not gonna they're not gonna lose again, dude. Menifield's the top dog at that camp. Kennedy's like a little like JV. Like Kennedy's like one of the green guys at that camp. So I mean, Menifield is just so much better on the feet, dude. Menifield's one of the best prospects in the division. So much better on the feet. So much more explosive. Great takedown defense. I don't even think Paul Craig can get him down, to be honest. But I mean, if he does, he's getting right back up. And I think Menifield's going to get it done in like 90 seconds. So I got Alonzo Menifield with a big first round KO. And we got to match up this kid with someone like outside, like in the top 15. Like, give him, I don't know. I'm trying to think who they should give him. Give him Tyson Pedro. Like, please give him Tyson Pedro. So I got Menifield with the first round KO. What about you?
Man,
oh, wait. Real quick. I'm sorry. I have him in a parlay with Arnold Allen next week at plus 102. 3 units to win 3.06 units. My bad. Go ahead.
Man, that's a great parlay, in my opinion. There's never been a time where I wished Clint was on this podcast more than now. Because
we should have got him on this week.
Clinton is all in on the Bear Jew this weekend, and man, this is such a interesting fight, bro. Because I mean, obviously, you look at Paul Craig, and I mean, the story with him is his ultimate late finishes, comeback wins is definitely what you want to call it, man. I mean, gets absolutely destroyed all fight by the Russian, name's escaping me, Ankalaev, and then sub in the last second of the fight, just embarrassing shit by Ankalaev. That shouldn't have happened, to be honest. And we know he wins that fight 9 out of 10 times. And the Kennedy one too, man. I mean, shit, dude. Kennedy was on his way to winning a dominant decision, and like you mentioned, Kennedy's green, and he was still whooping Craig's ass until Kennedy decided to keep going into his guard. That was bound to happen. I mean, it's definitely, I don't know. It's weird to call it a fluke because that is what Paul Craig is best at, and that's what he's trying to do. And all that with, I guess, taking the beating up front and being able to outlast the other guys. I mean, I just don't know if that's going to happen here for a lot of reasons. Like, I mean, this dude Menifield is definitely a lot scarier than Ankalaev and Kennedy, in my opinion. He has a lot more of a chance to end this fight early than those guys did. And not only that, I mean, I think Menifield is a very well-conditioned guy with some good cardio, good fight IQ. I mean, I don't see him making the same mistake that those guys did if this fight does happen to go into later rounds, but I don't think it does, dude. I'm with you. I see a sub 2-minute KO too, but the problem with it, betting-wise for me, on the side of Craig, why on earth would you ever want to bet on a guy like Paul Craig where you absolutely 100% know you're not betting the better fighter, and you also absolutely 100% know that you're going to have to go through some shit first before and if you do end up winning the fight. And then on the other side, the Menifield side, I mean, I got him big on DK. He's probably in 3/4 of my lineups, but I don't know. I thought there were some better parlay options, but I think Menifield's very safe here, man. I see him coming out here knocking out Craig early. It's just, I mean, he's serious, dude. And I mean, Fortis MMA, bro, they're just absolutely on fire, just improving guys left and right. So I think I'm not going to say a coming out party because, I mean, he's minus 300. He's expected to win this fight, and Paul Craig is bottom of the barrel. So I'm not going to say coming out party, but I'm going to say this is the one that leads up to the coming out party. I'm going to go with Alonzo Menifield, first round KO. So moving on to the next one, man. This is a one I did end up parlaying here, man. I like this spot a lot, and I've been a big fan of this guy for a long time. I think he's very underrated with some of the skills he has. So we got Drew Dober, minus 335, and he's taking on Marco Polo Reyes, plus 275. I mean, I have a history of betting on and betting against both of these guys in my career. Obviously, you got Marco Polo Reyes, his last fight against Damir Hadjovic. I mean, everyone's looking forward to that fight, man. It's pick 'em odds, minus 110 apiece. We expect these dudes to go out and just absolutely bang until one man falls. Me and you, I believe you were on Demir with me. We expected Demir to go out there. All right, Demir, he's probably the more technical striker, and he's probably got the better chin. So
You
he's
got plus
definitely.
money.
Yeah, I think we did get plus money, but I want to say it closed around Pick'em. So we get some value there as well. But yeah, I mean, everyone just expected this all-out brawl, and they did strike for a little while. We were definitely right. Demir was the better guy in the feet, and then what happens, dude? Damir Hadjovic, a guy who has shown a lot of holes in his wrestling and ground game in the past, just comes out of nowhere, takes down Marco Polo Reyes, and just destroys him on the mat. I mean, that type of loss where you're like, whoa, why is that guy in the UFC? And I mean, when you really look into it, man, like, and I'm a fan of Polo Reyes. Like, he's definitely got an extremely exciting style, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, he got to the UFC only because he was on that very low level Ultimate Fighter season. And he's been able to stick around because he had one of the fights of the century against Maestro Kim. He won that fight, props to him, but Maestro Kim is low level. Jason Novelli, I mean, who the fuck is that guy? Matt Frivola. He knocked out Matt Frivola in a minute, as I want to say he was a big underdog in that fight against Frivola, which
He was.
Jesus Christ, why was Matt Frivola ever a big favorite ever? He did what he should have against Matt Frivola. Drew Dober would do the same exact thing. And then the Demir one, that was just embarrassing. James Vick, that was just embarrassing, although Vick's the top 15 guy. It's not even just that, man. I mean, you go back even further. I mean, he's getting finished by a thing called Horatio Gutierrez on The Ultimate Fighter, getting submitted by Eric Montano, losing a lot before that. I mean, this is a guy who's on the verge of being a 500 fighter in Polo Reyes. And in my opinion, man, with a loss here, he's out of the UFC, and that's exactly what I think is going to happen because Drew Dober, I mean, we're talking about we're probably close to like 12 or 15 UFC fights at this point. Drew Dober, I mean, he has a winning UFC record as well. Has very, very serious striking, big power, and I believe he has one on his record. He has one knockout loss, but dude, I mean, if you watch Drew Dober's fights, he has one of the best chins in the division, and you could see it. I mean, look at the guy's head. It's literally like a block, bro. Like, I don't know if you guys played that Super Mario 64 back in the day, but those big stone blocks that jumped up and down, like that, those heads, that's Drew Dober. Drew Dober's got that Moai statue head. I mean, it's just stone and fucking huge, and he has a chin for days. So, I mean, when you look at Marco Polo's biggest strength, it's his power. And he's fighting a guy with an extremely good chin, so I see a knockout being very unlikely. That being said, I have a hard-ass time seeing Polo Reyes win this fight because Drew Dober is absolutely better everywhere. I mean, even with the holes you want to talk about in Drew Dober's wrestling and ground game, he's still got Polo beat there, man. Polo's not about to come out here and wrestle Drew Dober like guys have in the past. This is terrible, terrible stylistic matchup for Polo. So that being said, I got 2.5 units on Drew Dober in a parlay with somebody later in the card. I see Polo coming out here trying to brawl with the better striker with the better chin, and he will get knocked out. So Drew Dober, late first round knockout.
Yeah, Dober, I think, is a better fighter here for sure. I do think he's a better grappler. I think he has a better chin. I actually think he's a better, more tactical striker. I mean, the guy has really good Muay Thai. For Polo to win this fight, he just has to catch him, and even if they brawl, I think that favors Dober. But Dober's a smart fighter. I think Dober's just gonna, land the heavier shots, land the better shots. Polo, I don't think is really UFC material in my opinion. He's been knocked out multiple times. He's tough, like he's durable, but Dober, I think it's just too smart and too technical. So. I got Dober. I think he's going to get him down the mat and maybe get him out of there. But, I mean, on the feet, I give him the advantage as well. So I got Dober with a late finish. So next fight, I'm pretty sure we got one of my favorite fighters in the division. Yeah, we do. We got Roosevelt Roberts versus Vince Pichel, man. And yeah, man, I'm really high on Roosevelt Roberts. Obviously, if you guys been tuning in the bro picks for a while, you guys know that I am. I think he's one of the best prospects at 155. Him and Devontae Smith, are right there. both of them I see in the top 15, top 10 as well. Got to build them up. I think this is a good matchup for Roberts. I think Roberts is better everywhere. I think Roberts' striking is so good. I think he's gonna fight for the outside. He's really good backing up too. He has a great jab, good right hand, good left hand. So athletic, so fast. Huge for the division too. Like, I mean, the dude is just a beast, man. And I'm not even talking about his grappling yet. The dude's grappling is even better. Good takedowns. I mean, we've seen Vince Pichel get taken down. Vince Pichel, has power in his hands, but I really see him getting picked apart in this fight. I see him getting taken down. I think Roberts is more athletic. I think he's, the faster guy. We saw Roberts go 3 rounds last fight. I think the guy's cardio is good. I think Roberts has a good chin. We've seen him get hit, some good shots, and he's never even been hurt. The kid's grappling. The dude has some nasty chokes, man. Pichel better watch out because Pichel's going to be probably shooting in this fight. I won't be surprised at all if he tries to go out there and take Roberts down. And I think Roberts could definitely snatch that neck, man. Pichel's coming off that Gregor fight. Obviously, Gregor's, top 10 guy right now for sure. And the fight with Joaquin Silva, I mean, it was a close fight, but, I mean, Joaquin Silva won that fight. Pichel was losing to Damian Brown before he got that KO. I just think he's slow, man. He's slow. He's old. He's on the decline. He's no slouch. Like, he's not a jobber or anything, but I think Roberts is too athletic, man. He's better everywhere, in my opinion, man. And I think he's going to finish him here, man. I think Roberts is going to hurt him, man, on the feet. I think Pichel's going to go out there and try to take him down. I think Roberts is going to get another guillotine so he can dig in torture. Pichel, this is definitely the best fighter he's ever fought. I will say that for Roberts. But Roberts, man, this guy's living for this kid, man. He's relentless. He's too good, man. So I got Roberts. I got him by finish. And I see Roberts getting a big fight next. To be honest, I hope they give him, like, someone like Gregor Gillespie, like I just mentioned, like someone big next. But, I mean, first L time could be coming soon. But honestly, man, I mean, I see Roberts winning a lot of fights in the UFC. I see him being a top 10 guy, maybe even farther than that. So build him up, but we'll see who they give him next. I got him by a finish. What about you?
And you got him in a parlay, right?
God, I'm not even talking about my bets, man. I'm getting all hyped up in the fights. Yes, I got him in a parlay with someone later in the card.
All right, man. Dude, so when I first looked at this fight on paper, my pre-tape initial thoughts were that the line was off and that Vince Pichel may be a live dog because for certain reasons that I still think are kind of true. I mean, Vince Pichel is definitely more experienced at the high level. He's slightly more polished. And, I mean, you look at the guy's age, yeah, he's like 36, 37 years old, but he doesn't have a whole lot of miles on him. He's definitely not 36, 37 in fight years by any means. I think Vince Pichel definitely has a lot left in him. It's just he's coming up here against an absolute beast in Roosevelt Roberts. And when I watch these guys fight, man, I mean, I tend to think that Vince Pichel's probably a knockout or bust here, man. I think he has to land that perfect counter. And even when I was thinking about his power, because holy shit, was that Damian Brown knockout something else. That was an amazing knockout. I want to say that's like one of his only 1 or 2 knockouts on his record. So, I mean, we're only looking at one fight in a much, much larger sample size. So, I definitely think it would be wrong to be confident that he's able to come out here and knock out Roosevelt Roberts. I think Roosevelt Roberts is going to give him problems everywhere. He's long on the feet. He's starting to learn how to strike a lot better. Expect improvements every single fight. And then with the wrestling and the BJJ, I think that's where his biggest advantages lie, man. And one thing I wanted to talk about with Roosevelt, I think he's going to be one of those guys on DraftKings like a Tatiana Suarez or a Gregor Gillespie that's just one of those absolute DK dream guys because of the way he fights. He's so aggressive with the grappling. He's going to land a lot of takedowns, going to get a lot of advances. I mean, even his striking, he strikes at a pretty high pace at some points. Now, I think maybe some people are going to be thrown off because against a guy in Gifford who is not very good, he was only able to score 85 points in that decision win. But again, that's one fight in such a larger sample size. And of course, if you look at DraftKings, you'll only see the Gifford and Horcher fights. And I mean, the Horcher fight, he scored 98 points. He definitely paid off his salary there. But I mean, if you look at his fights prior to the UFC, including his Contender Series fights, this is a guy who's going to consistently put up over 100 points every single time against guys where he definitely has a huge grappling advantage against, and that's the case here with Vince Pichel, man. Vince Pichel is definitely he's lacking in that department. He's not even a full-time fighter. He has a full-time job. We're talking about a guy with a full-time job versus a guy who's a rising prospect. I mean, the minus 300 is probably right here, guys. So Roosevelt Roberts can outstrike him. He can outgrapple him. I hope for DK's sake, because I definitely have my fair share of Roosevelt Roberts, I hope he decides to grapple because he will land a lot of takedowns and he will land a lot of points. So I'm going to go with Roosevelt Roberts. I have a lot of respect for Vince Pichel, so I'm going to say Vince Pichel actually survives all 3 rounds here, but I'm going to go with Roberts via a dominant, I'll say 30-26 decision. So moving on to the next one, if I can find that. What's the next fight, bro? Is it Tony Martin and Damian Maia?
It's Rocco versus Maia.
Man, this is one of the most interesting fights on the card. I'm going to let you go first because you got to play, but Damian Maia is a minus 190 favorite. Anthony Rocco Martin's plus 165 lead.
Yeah, man, I got 3 units on the dog here, man. Anthony Rocco Martin, the plus 160. I really like, man, the progress in it. It's 4-0, 170. Damn, man. I mean, he beat Kelton Nakamura. I know Keita took him down a couple times, didn't really do anything. Smoked Ryan Whitmire bad. Then he went out there and looked good against Jake Matthews and tapped him out in the 3rd round. Great plus money win right there. Cash that. And then last fight against Serginho, Serginho took him down a couple times, but, didn't do anything. Yeah, man, I think Anthony Rocco Martin, obviously, like, it's no secret. He has to go out there and, outstrike him on the feet and stuff. I think he's definitely the better striker. Damian Maia is definitely on the decline. He went out there and beat Lyman Good. Terrible bet on my part, but to be honest, Rocco Martin's 100 times better than Lyman Good. Yeah, man, I mean, Rocco Martin, the thing is, like, he can get taken down. I see Maia taking him down, but, I mean, I can see him getting back up, man. To be honest, on the feet, this guy's striking is so much better than Damian Maia. This guy's training with Colby Covington every day. I think it's going to be harder to take him down. I really do. And the guy's just going to be dancing around the octagon, man, just outstriking him. I can see him hurting Damian Maia, too. I mean, the guy, his striking's improved a lot. And he has power, man. He has good cardio. His jab has actually improved a lot. Great right hand, great left hand. I mean, there's no secret it's a striker versus grappler matchup. I just think that if Maia doesn't get him out of there in the 1st round, I think he's just going to slowly just gas. I really do, man. And, I mean, his gas tank's not good. He's durable for sure, but he's getting older, man. So he's going to be desperate for that takedown, man. And I think Rocco Martin's going to make him work. Even if Rocco Martin gets taken down, gets back up, he's going to make him work. So I think the 1st round's going to be a little nerve-wracking for me. I mean, I think Damian Maia has to get that win in the 1st round. If he doesn't get that, I think it's over. I think Rocco Martin's going to slowly win it, slowly just hurt him on the feet. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm sure not a lot of people are picking him by a finish, but I got Rocco Martin by a finish. I think he's going to hurt him, man. I really do. I think he's going to hurt him on the feet. I think he's going to get him out of the 2nd round. I got Anthony Rocco Martin, hurt him with the jab, get him out of the right hand, and he's going to be a top 10 guy after this, man. I think Anthony Rocco Martin is a dangerous guy at 170. And I know that a lot of people are saying he's going to lose this fight because he broke up with Kayla Harrison. Who gives a shit that he broke up with Kayla Harrison? That doesn't mean anything in my opinion. I think that his mind, he doesn't need that head case in his life. I think he's better off, and he's fighting, he's fighting a little at home too because Brock Larson's from Minnesota. That's one of his head coaches. So it's a big fight for Rocco Martin. I mean, the main card, I think it should have been the co-main event, but I guess it's not. But yeah, I got Rocco Martin, man. I think he's going to have the best fight of his career here. This isn't at 155. People are saying, yeah, he's been tapped out twice at 155. I mean, he's way better off at 170, man. He was killing himself to make that way to 155, man. So I got Anthony Rocco Martin with a finish.
Yeah, you mentioned this fight now being the co-main event. We'll talk about that later, why I think the co-main event fight should be in the co-main event. But onto this fight, man, I mean, yeah, this is a great fight, man. Tony Martin, he's just been looking so good at 170.
Oh, shit. Sorry, bro. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you. I don't want you to steal my line, but I forgot one more thing that I forgot to talk about Anthony Rocco Martin. His calf kicks. The way he's been using his calf kicks lately, like, dude, are really good. And obviously, like, he's not going to be throwing any head kicks versus Maia, but the calf kicks would definitely be a big factor against Maia. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like he's just been putting it all together on the feet. Like I remember back in the day when he couldn't hang on the feet with Alex White and was diving for legs desperately. And now he's turned himself into a very, very solid striker. I mean, it could have something to do with, the improvements he's making in the gym, or the fact that he's not cutting the 155 anymore and he feels just a lot better in the octagon. It could be a combination of both. Either way, man, things have been looking great for Tony Martin. And then on the side of Damian Maia, I mean, definitely props to him. He was able to get back in the win column after 3 straight losses in a row against Lyman Good. Now, those three straight losses, of course, were to, arguably the 3 best guys in the division, the 3 best wrestlers in the division, and Tyron Woodley, Kamaru Usman, and Colby Covington. And then, I get an absolute gift in Damian Maia at minus 160 against Lyman Good. We made that look extra easy there. And then, man, this is no longer Lyman Good, though. I'll tell you that. Tony Martin, I think, is going to give Damian Maia a lot more problems when it comes to getting him down. The thing is, I just feel like Tony Martin, and people think of Lyman Good as a striker, of course, and Tony Martin has mostly been known as a grappler in his career, but I actually think Tony Martin has more tools to avoid the takedowns, if that makes any sense. I feel like his footwork might be a little better than Lyman's. Lyman, it was just he's just this big, scary, plotting dude. Tony Martin, I think, is going to be able to cause some problems. So, of course, if Damian Maia gets down to anybody and takes that back or gets on top, it's going to be a very, very rough night. But, he is north of 40 years old at this point. I bet this guy wishes he could say he was 40 years old because he's even older than that. So, and of course, fighting in a division like 170, this isn't heavyweight. This isn't light heavyweight. If you're in your 40s, that is going to eventually catch up to you. And I have all the reason in the world to believe a guy streaking like Tony Martin, who's just been making improvements after improvements, could definitely come out here and win this fight. We have seen Damian. I don't want to say Damian Maia has been declining, but he kind of has. I feel like back in the day, if he was in his prime fighting Jorge Masvidal, I feel like he would just take him down and eat him alive easily. But Jorge Masvidal gave him a lot of problems in that fight. But we'll talk about Jorge Masvidal in the next card, because Masvidal is no slouch at all, and he's probably even better than Tony Martin. But man, I don't know. It's just really, really tough for me to call. It's weird because everyone on Twitter and Bet MMA Tips, it seems like Tony Martin is definitely the more played guy here. But when you look at the betting odds, money's been coming in on Damian Maia. So all kinds of opinions, all kinds of differences on this fight. When I look at the line, though, the betting man in me tells me that the value, of course, is on Tony Martin at plus 165. Now, do I have the guts or the heart to pick Tony Martin in this fight? Do I actually think he has a 51% chance or better to win this fight? I kind of don't, man. So I'm going to go with Damian Maia here. I'm not confident at all. It's a very close fight. The value is clearly with Tony Martin, in my opinion. He's the way to go. But Damian Maia, we're talking about one of the best BJJ guys in the world, and we have seen Tony Martin get taken down and submitted before. So I'm going to go with Damian Maia, but I wish you the best of luck, my friend.
Thank you.
So moving on to this next one, man. And I am happy this is the co-main event because these guys absolutely deserve it. We got Joseph Benavidez, minus 155, taking on Jussier Formiga, plus 135. Man, I'm just happy these guys are getting that big spot in the co-main event because we know how they usually love to shove the flyweights lower on the main card or in the prelims. I want to say Joseph Benavidez, I think he was on the prelims. I know he was on the prelims against Alex Perez, and I think he was on the prelims against Dustin Ortiz too. Just what an absolute fucking joke that is, man. Because Joseph Benavidez, in my opinion, he's like a top 20 or top 25 pound for pound guy in the world. Just so skilled. He had that one setback recently against Sergio Pettis, but dude, he was coming off a serious injury against Sergio Pettis, and Sergio just had a great game plan. And not only that, man, that was a razor close fight. You could have argued Joseph Benavidez won that fight. So I mean, you look at his record; he could arguably be 28-4 with his only 4 losses to Demetrius Johnson and Dominic Cruz. And even the Dominic Cruz and Demetrius Johnson fights, he went to a split decision with both of those guys, man. I mean, Joseph Benavidez is one of the most underrated fighters of all time. I made the large mistake of betting against him in the past against Alex Perez. Worked out for me against Sergio Pettis, but man, Alex Perez was not ready, and that was a hell of an ass beating like he gave Alex Perez. If you, for whatever reason, have not seen Joseph Benavidez versus Alex Perez, go watch that Smashdown because, I mean, you don't see something like that in flyweight often. Joby has serious power in his hands. He's one of the best boxers in the division. I mean, his scrambling ability, dude, like, oh my God, this guy's so good, man. I'm a huge Joby fan. I mean, he's really good on the mat, and obviously, on the other side here with Jussier Formiga is a guy I just bet on against Davison Figueiredo. Obviously, all the hype was on Davison Figueiredo. He has power in his hands. He's the next coming of Christ in the flyweight division. I mean, this guy had so much hype, and rightfully so. Davison Figueiredo is still going to win a lot of fights, and I mean, even if this flyweight division goes away, Davison's a guy that can definitely compete at 135, but man, I just had a feeling that my boy Formiga would pull through for me there. I believe I had him at plus 145. He was just the more experienced and, quite frankly, skilled guy in there and was able to take advantage of his giant wrestling and jiu-jitsu advantage. Now, he definitely does not have a gigantic wrestling and jiu-jitsu advantage here. Now, he probably does have the pure BJJ advantage, but in an MMA fight where strikes and knees and elbows, all that's involved, I feel like Joseph Benavidez has him beat everywhere, man. I mean, his scrambling ability, like I said, is so good. That Dustin Ortiz fight, dude, holy fuck. Man, I love these flyweights. I really hope the division doesn't go away because, I mean, they're just so quick, and it's just beautiful to watch the technique done in such a quick fashion. I think this is going to be a great fight, man. I think Formiga really just has to take that back or has to get Mount. Like, he has to end up in an extremely dominant position to win this fight because if he doesn't have the back of Joseph Benavidez or isn't mounted on Joseph Benavidez, I feel like he's in big trouble, man. I like Joe B here everywhere. And I didn't even talk about the first fight, bro. They fought before. I mean, it's been a few years for sure, but, I mean, Joseph Benavidez was minus 700 and knocked him the hell out. Now, I know this is 2019 and both guys have improved, but, I mean, Joseph Benavidez, in my opinion, is still higher level. And since my Jordan Griffin bet got canceled, I had 3 units on him. I actually might be taking a 2 or 3 unit play on Joseph Benavidez here, man. I'm fairly confident that he comes out here and arguably might win as easily as he did last time, bro. Like, I don't know. He's just so good. I'm excited for this fight. So, yeah, I got Joe B. I'm going to say he repeats it, man. I'm going to say a first-round knockout, but worst-case scenario, he knows how to win those decisions.
Yeah, I see this being a pretty back-and-forth decision for sure. I think both guys are really good. They're definitely in the top of the division. I do think that Joe B's going to win this fight, though. Joe B, I feel like with a win, he should definitely, get the interim title. We don't even know when Cejudo's coming back. That first fight was really, really close. I do think he beat Cejudo, but I mean, Cejudo's, definitely improved so much, and if they fight again, I'm sure Cejudo will probably be minus 200 at least. But yeah, man, Joby's a really good fighter. The Sergio Pettis fight was kind of a fight we thought he was on a decline, but he's not on the decline. He killed Alex Perez. He dominated Dustin Ortiz. I just think he's the better striker here. I actually think it's going to be really tough for Formiga to get him down. He has great takedown defense. He can get taken down, but he can get right back up. He can take down Formiga too. Formiga's striking's improved a lot. Like, it's definitely come a long way. Beating Fager Davison, man, that was a really good win for Formiga. Formiga's a beast, man. He's definitely one of the best guys in the division. But I just think Joe B's better, man, on the feet. And I think Joe B could definitely take him down. I think it's going to be hard for Formiga to outgrapple Joe B. So I got Joe B winning a pretty clear-cut 29-28 decision. And I think he even drops Formiga at least once. But I don't think he's going to finish him. So next fight, we got a main event, man. We got the second half of my parlay. We got Francis Ngannou versus JDS, and I have Roosevelt Roberts parlay with Francis Ngannou 3 units. I think at -109. I think it did hit plus money, but hey, whatever. Is what it is. Yeah, Francis Ngannou, man. This dude's a beast, man. This dude is gonna be the heavyweight champion. I know he had a chance against Stipe, but if they fight again, I think we all know what's gonna happen. Ngannou, man, the dude. People are talking, saying that he's done after the Derek Lewis fight and all this. Backs against the wall. He completely destroyed Curtis Blade. He completely destroyed his last fight against Kane. JDS's chin is definitely deteriorating. He's been hurt in his last 2 fights that he got wins in against Tuivasa and against Derek Lewis. I mean, Derek Lewis hurt him in that fight bad, and Tuivasa did too. I mean, if Francis hurts him, like, oh my god, man. I mean, JDS is probably just gonna want to just run away from the fight, honestly, take the jab, but I think the first shot that Ngannou hurts him with, it's over, in my opinion. I think he's going to hurt him bad. I think he's going to starch him, honestly, just like the last 2 fights, maybe even, 30 seconds, a minute. I don't think JD is going to last that long, man. I think there's levels, man. And Francis is too athletic for him. He's too fast. He hits way too hard. Francis is a beast. JDS is not going to go out there and take the guy down, man. JDS is going to hurt him on the feet, it's going to be over, man, in 1 minute. And Ngannou's going to go out there and steamroll him. So I got Francis Ngannou with a vicious knockout. I think JDS is going to be on the canvas, dude. And I think he's going to be on there for at least 5 minutes. What about you?
Yeah, bro, this is an amazing main event. Junior Dos Santos, legend, arguably Hall of Famer, former champion, one of my favorite fighters of all time. And he's taking on Francis Ngannou, who really is just getting things started, man. Obviously, he had that setback against Stipe. Got 50-43. It was quite the beatdown. But, hey, I mean, you can look at some positives in that fight. That first round, I'm not going to say he won that first round, but, I mean, did you see Stipe's face afterwards? I mean, it was a war of a round, one of the best rounds of the year that first round was in that fight. And he also went 25 minutes with the champion Stipe. So positives to look at from that fight. The Derek Lewis fight, I mean, that was clearly just he was kind of he was scared to throw in the octagon with Derek Lewis. He lost the fight. Now he's fighting a huge power puncher, and pretty much the main thing on his mind in that fight was do not get KO'd by this giant ass dude. And I mean, we all know that's what Derek Lewis does. I mean, I think he's top 5 most knockouts in heavyweight history. But then he came out against Curtis Blades, man. I want to say he took that Curtis Blades fight on notice as well. And I want to say it was even in China too. Some crazy circumstances. Blades is a -200 favorite, and Ngannou ices him in 30 seconds. Just all his confidence back, put in the proper work, and I mean, if you've been watching the UFC for, as many years as I have, how many times have y'all seen these prospects come in? You think they're the next coming of Christ, and then they lose a couple fights, lose all their confidence, and they're just never heard from ever again. I mean, it happens all the time, and I think a lot of us thought that was going to happen with Francis. I mean, that's why he was in the +200s against Curtis Blades, but man, he came out there. He looked a lot sharper. Looked a lot more confident. KO'd him quick, and then obviously his last fight, he gets the best win of his entire career in Cain Velasquez. And dude, I couldn't believe some of the arguments people were making for Cain Velasquez, saying Francis won because Cain blew out his knee. He fucking blew out his knee because Francis punched him in the face, and he lost his legs, so he landed awkwardly. Francis did that to him, guys. I don't know. I just can't believe it. But back to Junior, man. I mean, with Francis, obviously you got a guy who's making all the improvements, doing the right things, getting better every fight. And then on the other side, we have JDS here, who clearly has been on the decline since the arrival of USADA. He was off for a couple of years. He came back. He got that big win against Ben Rothwell. It was kind of a lackluster decision, but definitely showed his boxing. Still some of the best in the division. Then he fought Stipe, bro. Stipe just I mean, he just put it on him, and Junior Dos Santos could not take the punches, couldn't take the pressure. I mean, that's how you beat JDS, man. You got to put pressure on this guy, pressure and power, and we saw that. I mean, even in his next 3 fights, where yeah, he won these 3 fights. He's on a 3-fight win streak. The Blagoy Ivanov. I mean, let's be honest. Looking at the Ben Rothwell fight, I mean, that was very similar to the Ben Rothwell fight. He went out there and outboxed another fat guy, and then you got Tai Tuivasa. Tai Tuivasa was putting pressure and power on him, and arguably won that first round, and had a lot of success against Junior Dos Santos. But hey, JDS beat another fat guy. And then he takes on Derek Lewis. Hey, JDS beats another fat guy. Now he's taking on Francis Ngannou, who looks like he was chiseled by Zeus himself. This guy's got all the power in the world, literally has the UFC's record for punching power by decibels. And it's not even just the power, man. The guy has put together really quite the skill set. He's a top 3 guy in the division for sure. I think eventually he will have that belt around his waist. And, I mean, when you look at it style for style against each other, I think Francis is going to put that pressure on that JDS just doesn't have a lot of success against. And I think there's definitely a chance this fight might end up being slow at first, kind of like the JDS Alistair Overeem fight, where they're basically just looking to counter each other. I think that's definitely a possibility here, where it kind of starts off slow. They're looking to counter each other, but I mean, geez, dude, it's only a matter of time before JDS actually starts to engage, or Francis gets a little more aggressive than he's shown in the past. But eventually, once they start to trade with each other, JDS will not be able to eat those shots. So I'm going to say Francis Ngannou first or second round KO, man. It's just, I mean, it seems pretty clear cut to me, bro. I feel like he just smashes them, and I got 5.5 units on him. I have him in that parlay with Drew Dober, and I also have him in that parlay with Jared Gordon. So 3.5 units on the Gordon Ngannou play, and then 2 units on the Dober Ngannou play, and then I also have 2 units on this fight to not go to decision with the Menifield fight to not go to decision. So. Yeah, I'm playing some parlays this week, but I think they cash, man. Big on Francis. I also have Francis in every single one of my DraftKings lineups, which a little north of $100. So I'm all in on Francis, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we already picked Francis, bro. I mean, right. we both have a bet on him, but I mean, there's been a lot of like good parlays the last couple cards. Like I in the past I wasn't playing parlays, but I've been playing parlays a lot recently just because I feel like there's a bit like more favorites. I feel like they're have been winning. Like I think next week, there's some good dogs. Sacramento card with some good dogs, but I don't see a lot of dogs winning in this card. I mean, obviously there's gonna be some dogs winning, but I mean, I already picked a couple dogs to win. There are some dogs that are live, like Mamute, and I forget who else, but yeah, man. I bet Tony Martin. Of course, I think he's gonna win. He's not live. He's gonna win.
He's live.
Oh, he's live. Yeah, but like he's on the good part. He's on like the good part of live. Like he's not just live. He's gonna win. Mamute's. The line's off. Like he might be live, but I don't know. Dan Moret's live. Like I picked him to win. I think he's gonna win, but I'm not confident enough in betting him to win. But yeah. So there's 12 fights now. The Jordan Griffin fight got canceled. What a recap of my plays. So I have Tony Martin 160 plus 163 units. I have Menifield and Arnold Allen next week 3 units at plus 102. And I have 3 units, Francis Ngannou and Roosevelt Roberts at minus 109. Those are my 3 bets. You want to recap yours real quick?
Yeah, man. I got the Ngannou Jared Gordon parlay, the Ngannou Drew Dober parlay. I got the parlay on the Ngannou fight to not go to decision with the Menifield fight to not go to decision. I got the small 2-unit play on Maurice Greene. And then I will most likely end up betting maybe 2 or 3 units on Joseph Benavidez, and then possibly a 1-unit shot on Mamoo if he hits plus 300. Sticking by that, only if he hits plus 300.
Yeah, man. I'm about to do my DraftKings lineups right now after I do the thumbnails. Can't wait for Saturday. Next week, got a great card. Go see 239. I see some dogs that I like. And the Sacramento card, man, the Aspen Lab versus GDR, like that's a great fight, man. It's a really interesting fight, man. GDR was like a plus 150. Now I mean, the line could get flipped, dude. You could see Aspen Lad at plus money. I would not be surprised. There's a lot of people on GDR. It's a really close fight, man, for me to call right now. Like pre-tape, I mean, I gotta go with Aspen Lad pre-tape, but I mean, dude, GDR is really good. She has like 90% takedown defense, so we'll see what happens. But Aspen Lad is a beast, man. I don't want to be fading her anytime soon. So, yeah, guys. So comment down below. You know who you guys have in the main event, who you guys have in every fight, and we'll be back next week. And I think we're gonna be doing it next Wednesday night. Just stay tuned to Twitter, and hope everyone casts their bets unless you're going against us. So let's do it. Let's get it.
Thanks, guys.
Clint, Dollar MMA. I'm sorry, but Paul Craig's not getting that win. So see you later, bud.